Yeah, sure. I mean, Andrew, just I guess just to keep it extremely general, I mean, just to talk about this experience so far, basically what it's just been like just to qualify, just to perform as well as you did at the trials, and just what does that tell you about what you need to do going forward in Tokyo?
I mean, the experience has been definitely a dream. I definitely saw it coming a little bit. We've been working really hard. And with the extra year, it definitely gave me a little bit more confidence going into it because I am definitely one of the younger competitors. So I think that was definitely a good thing for me. And then it just gives me confidence moving forward. I think that Drew has just done such a great job with me physically, but more importantly, mentally. I think that I've become just like a very strong competitor and a much more confident competitor. I think that my first few years, I was a little bit doubtful of myself. And now I definitely see that I can definitely be one of the best in the world. So I'm excited.
Kevin Brockway.
Yeah, Andrew, I guess the Japanese emperor mentioned yesterday that he's a little concerned about the COVID situation over there, the health situation. I'm just curious if you've gotten any maybe feedback from coaches about, how careful you're going to be over there, things like kind of do's and don'ts. And are there any concerns about going over there from your standpoint?
I actually haven't heard anything about it recently, but we do get a bunch of updates from the Team USA officials that will be going with us to Tokyo. So basically, they're just telling us that we're going to need to obviously remain in the athlete village. After we're done competing, we do have to come back 48 hours afterwards. So my last competition will be August 4th if I make the finals, and then I'll have to come back on the 5th. So won't be able to go to closing ceremonies or anything like that, but I'm just excited to go and get the job done and experience it all.
David Woods.
Yes, Andrew, you got a lot of athletic gifts. Did you always want to be a diver? Did you start off football, basketball, baseball? I mean, when did you become a diver, and why pick diving over maybe some of the other stuff you could have done?
I actually started off with a bunch of sports. My dad was a football, baseball guy, and he always wanted to put me in those sports because obviously your father wants you to follow in their footsteps. But I didn't really like those sports. They didn't really suit me very well. So I tried gymnastics when I was 9 years old. And I just loved the feeling of flipping. I loved the perfection of it all, just trying to be perfect and perfecting all of your skills. So gymnastics was my first love. And then 2 years later, I found diving, and same thing. I just fell in love with it right away. And it was just a crazy journey. I did gymnastics and diving together for 4 years. And then I ultimately did have to make the choice between the two. And there just seemed to be more opportunity in diving for me. With the way that I was growing as an athlete, it seemed like that was the right way to go. And I actually did used to come to camps here at IU with Drew. And he had told me that he thought that if I just focused on diving, that I could one day make the Olympic team, which is pretty crazy to think about because he was right. So it's really cool.
Kirk.
Yeah, I'd just like to know, say, what you've learned from your partner, Michael Hickson, and his previous, Olympic experience, what he shared, what he tips, anything like that to kind of help you go into this.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from Mike is how to compete better. In our sport, he's definitely known as one of the best competitors that I've ever seen. So I think just learning how to, no matter how practice goes, go into the competition with the mindset that you just have to trust yourself and trust your coach, I think has been really important. And I think he's just really taught me how to be a synchronized diver. I never really did synchro before diving with Mike. So I was a little bit nervous at first, obviously starting off doing synchro with the previous Olympic silver medalist, but he took me under his wing pretty quick. And he had always just preached trust to me, that he trusted me from the start, and that I just had to trust him. And I think it's been a really special pairing, and I'm really grateful for everything that he's done for me.
John Blau.
You were mentioning that, Drew made you a more confident diver, that at times you would doubt yourself. I mean, what would be an instance where you were doubting yourself, and in what ways did Drew help you kind of get over that and restore confidence?
I mean, even a recent one would have been at Olympic trials in the prelims and the semifinals. I had competed in a new dive that I haven't competed before Olympic trials, the back 3.5. And in the prelims and semis, I was a little bit tight with it, didn't do very well. And I was kind of second guessing whether or not that was the right choice, whether to do that dive. And after the semifinals, we were talking, and he just said, trust yourself, trust what we've been doing back home. This is the right dive that you need to be doing. And the next day we just worked on a few lead ups for it, and it all came together in the final. So I just having him there, as obviously now he's the 3-time head Olympic coach, just being able to tell me stuff like that has just been really special.
Dustin?
Andrew, just wanted to go back to what you said about just figuring out synchro. I guess what does that require? I guess when you're used to diving on your own, doing your own moves, just having to worry about just perfecting what you're doing, to synchronizing that with somebody else. What was this process like to get used to doing that when you haven't done it before? So
when I first got to IU, the synchro process for me and Mike was actually a little bit easier, because when I got to IU, Drew modeled my diving a little bit around Mike's. So he had taught me the same hurdle and kind of the same technique on a lot of dives. So then when we did start doing synchro, the timing was definitely there. The major thing that he taught me about synchro was, once we start that kind of first step, or once we start our dives, it's all just our individual dives, and we just need to focus on ourselves. Because I think whenever we first started, I was always nervous about, oh, what if I mess up? Or I was like worried about what he was doing. And I think that he kind of taught me that synchro is a team event. And if someone messes up, then it's the team that messed up. It's not just on you. And that definitely took off some of the pressure a little bit. And yeah.
All right, last question, Michael Pegram.
Yeah, Andrew, well, how did it help? Did it help you a lot to have already qualified in the synchro, in terms of taking pressure off with the 3 meter? Did that make you think that made a difference for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, well, it was great to qualify in synchro. And then I did obviously have the goal to qualify individually as well. I was pretty far back because of those 2 misses that I had on the 207 in the prelim and semi. So I was about 60 points back, I think. But previously qualifying definitely took a little bit of the edge off, and I was able to just go out there and kind of just see what I could do. I knew that I did have the potential to put down a pretty big list, and I knew that I could make up those points. And I think that with previously qualifying, I was able to just like let loose a little bit and relax, and let my dives kind of speak for themselves, and dive my best. So yeah, definitely it did help, but there was still a lot of nerves going into it, because I do want to show what I can do on the international stage individually as well. And I haven't really gotten that opportunity very much. So I'm just really excited to be able to dive both events.